Hello and welcome to Animal Park. I'm Ben Fogle.
And I'm Kate Humble, and we're in Wallaby Wood, which is home to 24 adult wallabies. But if you look closely, you'll actually see that there are many more, because some of the females have got joeys at the moment.
Which are so sweet,
I know,
aren't they?
look at this little one poking out there.
Well, we have plenty of stories coming up on today's programme, including... After 16 years as a threesome, 2 tigers face life-threatening operations.
All 3 of the tigers really are senior citizens. There's always that major worry in the back of your mind that something's going to go wrong.
Big, brown and beautiful. What else could they be but bongos?
And how can a stag defend himself when his antlers fall off?
The other stags have still got their antlers, their weapons. It's an extremely dangerous time for an adult master stag.
But we're going to start with that worrying news from the Tiger House, where both of the females, Kadu and Shandy, are ill. Even in captivity, tigers rarely reach 20 years of age. So at 19, these are both old ladies, and each of them has had a major health scare in the last few months. Shandy, whose unusual white coat comes from a genetic mutation, survived an emergency operation in October for a potentially fatal mammary tumour. But now Keeper Bob Trollope has spotted a problem.
The past few days, she's had swelling to the back legs. She's been on medication for that. The swelling hasn't gone down, so it doesn't look too good for her, I'm afraid to say.
Kadu had to be given a general anaesthetic last year to treat an ingrowing claw that had become infected. But the routine operation became a nightmare when she reacted badly to the anaesthetic.
She isn't breathing, is she?
Right, just keep doing that every 5 seconds, all right? Okay, Brian. This way, just whip her right over.
Kadu was hovering at death's door.
She's breathing.
Well, she's coming lighter all the time. She's blinking and she's a lot more responsive. Yeah.
To everyone's relief, Kadu finally pulled through. But 6 months later, she's developed the same problem with ingrowing claws again. She'd kill anyone who tried to cut them without a general anaesthetic, but she nearly died under sedation last time. Despite the risks, Keeper Bob Trollope knows that the vet has to be called in.
She has started to limp a little bit more than normal, which is a good indication that something's wrong. You know, you can put it down to the weather and the fact that she's got arthritis. But the claw seems to be growing properly, but it's almost like she doesn't retract the claw. And maybe that's something that we can look at while she's anaesthetised.
But the anaesthetic itself remains the biggest worry.
It's a bit of mixed emotions because, you know, you've got to sedate her and sort the claw out, but you know also that she doesn't do very well. So, you know, it's one of these days that you don't look forward to. She is getting on a bit, you know, she's going to be 20 this year, which is very, very old for a large cat. And so that's everything you've got to take into consideration. You've got to be quietly confident that she will pull through. But you also got to expect the worst.
Vet Duncan Williams is all too aware of Kadu's problems with anaesthesia, but her ingrowing claws have to be treated before they get infected.
In her situation, she just doesn't seem to... She takes it badly. She does go much deeper than any of the others do. I think probably age-related as well, of course. It's a big worry, really. For that reason, I've got my colleague along, Zoe, and we've got all, you know, the gas and stuff like that. We've got some oxygen just in case she doesn't respond particularly well to the anaesthetic. And we're also going to try with a much reduced dose, which may be a mistake. It may mean she doesn't go under sufficiently, which means we're in sort of trouble again there. So we'll just have to see. We're going to check on Shandy as well. I mean, she's got this ongoing problem with mammary growths, which we removed last autumn. She's now got a hind leg swollen, which is probably down to the lymph glands swelling up higher up the leg and it's just causing a sort of backflow problem. But if it's causing her discomfort and pain, you know, it could be quite serious, I think.
Deputy Head Warden Ian Turner knows that the tiger's age makes the situation particularly dangerous.
The main worries on all three of the tigers really are senior citizens. We've got a 20-year-old tiger and two 90-year-olds. What we could do when we had it before, we were really worried about sedation because the heart stopped. We had to keep a heart going all the time, so that's a major worry. But we'll clip the claws today. Hopefully everything will go fine and she'll have another 3 or 4 years. There's nothing to say she can't do. She might, perk up, senior citizen and be fine. But there's always that major worry in the back of your mind that something's going to go wrong.
There's an air of tension as the keepers prepare the anaesthetic dart and release Sonar, their only male, out into the enclosure. Duncan, the vet, goes to check up on Shandy, the other ill tigress, while Brian Kent, who's in charge of the big cats, gets Cadoo's attention.
Good girl. Sorry, darling. Yeah. Be a bit deceptive then, didn't we? Doos. Cadoo.
Give her 10 minutes or so. It's nearly 10 to. We all just go out, I think.
Leaving Cadoo alone to reduce stress could improve her chances, but everyone knows that she may never come round again from the anaesthetic.
In welcome contrast, there's some good news up at the Giraffery, where Head of Section Andy Hayton has already seen 3 baby giraffes born this year. Now he thinks even more are on the way.
We believe Imogen is due in August.
Really?
Along with Tweezer as well.
So 2 of them?
2, and they're due within about 4 days of each other.
Now, which one is Imogen?
Imogen's right at the back. In fact, this is Tweezer right at the front.
Tweezer's looking at us.
Yeah, Tweezer's at the front here, and Imogen's right behind her, up against the back wall there with the enormous stomach.
Now, to my eyes, it's a little difficult to tell if their tummies are looking kind of extended, but obviously you spend every day. Can you tell that they're looking slightly more round?
Yeah, Imogen's a pretty round giraffe anyway, so she's a bit bigger than your average one. But they don't give a huge amount away until sort of like the latter end of the pregnancy.
So it must be quite exciting news for you.
Yeah, it's 2 first-time mums as well, so...
Really?
Hopefully they'll be OK.
Does that mean that you have to take extra special care and attention in diet and looking after them?
Yeah, I mean, we keep an eye on them. The best time of day to sort of see how they're doing is when we let them out, because you see them all walk properly for the first time when they actually go out in the morning. If there's any lameness or they're sort of slowing down or struggling or anything, again, just watching them eat and things like that, if they've got a good appetite and they're moving around freely, then they're good.
So will you be doing that today?
We're going to let them out right now, so if you want to come down with us...
Are we able to do that?
Yeah, that's fine. If you just stay with me, because it can be a bit dodgy sometimes.
They've got very powerful legs, don't they?
Yeah, you don't really spoil your afternoon if you get kicked by a giraffe, so... Yeah, if you just stay behind me, we'll be fine.
Great.
OK?
Yep.
OK, Cozzy.
So Coz is just going to open the door now, is he?
Yep.
And do you think do they all have their kind of ritual of who goes out first, or is it just first
It
come?
kind of depends on the weather. If they can see the sun shining, they all pile out. If it's a bit of a grey day like today...
Look at them all.
Then
they're just staring, going,
down.
you expect us to go out into that?
Yeah. So I'll just go around, or Ryan's going to go around and push them on out, and we'll get them moving.
Right, here we go. Once the whole tower have moved out, I'll be helping to get them down the hill into the big paddock.
Back at the Tiger House, it's been 10 minutes now since Cadoo was darted, and she's fully sedated for the operation on her ingrown claws.
See that, Zoe? That's the one.
She almost died last time she was given a general anaesthetic, so Safari Park vet Duncan Williams is performing the essential operation as fast as possible.
Well, it's pretty nasty here, where it has actually sort of just penetrated the pad a little bit. But, anaesthetic-wise, she's breathing really well, so that's excellent news. Yeah, see, that dose is a lot better for her, isn't it?
Normally, they get worn down just walking around, but because Cadoo's elderly and arthritic, there's little choice but to trim them.
Well, long term, we could amputate, declaw her, but, you know, you're going to declaw all of her nails. I think that's a bit excessive, and it's going to stop some of her natural thing. It'd be quite a big job to do all of them. It would be a massive job, and she's going to be in such pain afterwards.
So far, at least, Kadoo's breathing well, and there's no sign yet of a dangerous reaction to the anaesthetic.
The back ones are all right, aren't they? She's obviously keeping them down herself. Should we ring around then, guys?
Yeah. I'll cover over since it's a bit...
Yeah, sure. Well, don't cover too much over. We want to make sure she's still breathing. We won't be able to see that, but, you know, if we heap it up around her.
The operation has gone well, but Kadoo is still in danger because until the anaesthetic wears off, she could stop breathing at any time. To make matters even worse, the team know they may be facing a very difficult decision about their white Bengal tigress, Shandy. Duncan cut a tumour out of her last year, but there are some worrying signs that the life-threatening cancer may have come back.
To be as lame as that, like, it's, you know, as Zoe's pointed out, she probably wouldn't be as lame as that just from the lymph drainage thing. So it may be an infection going on there. There's cellulitis, but it's certainly pretty extensive, isn't it?
Well, apart from that, she's feeding.
She's feeding it.
She's putting nothing herself, because she even come up and took chunks out of my hand yesterday, wasn't it?
I mean, we let her out, but obviously she can't go far. She can't move around too much.
Actually, no.
How much pain she's in.
A lot of pain in her legs, and sore as that.
To have to anaesthetise one elderly tigress is bad enough, but the keepers have no choice. Shandy will have to run the same risks as Kadoo.
That's gone off.
Everyone is hoping against hope that the cancer hasn't returned.
Good girl. Good girl. Just waiting for her to go out now, which would be about 10 minutes, I should imagine.
Nobody knows what they'll find when Shandy slips under the anaesthetic. We'll be there when Duncan examines her.
Over at the giraffery, the next job is to manoeuvre them all down into the paddock. So, Andy, this is... I can't remember ever getting this close to the giraffes, really.
Yeah, the giraffes, we've managed to get them a bit sort of quieter over the past couple of years. They're, I wouldn't say trustworthy, that's maybe too strong a word for it.
Right.
But they're getting better. Quaheri, move up.
So this is this is the bull, isn't it?
This is the only way, he's the only one that can sometimes be a little bit
So this is
funny.
this is hopefully he'll be a dad soon.
Yeah, hopefully so. He's proved to be an excellent breeding bull.
Now, can I ask, you say that you've you've kind of been training them over the last few years. How do you train a giraffe?
Training's probably too strong a word for it. It's more getting them into a really kind of strong routine that they must go out in a kind of a nice kind of set fashion. But it's just being consistently every day, you know, making sure that they go out nicely and calmly and all the rest of it. And it's paying off, you know, they're being pretty good.
Now, I've lost Imogen already.
Imogen's there, right in front of
Imogen's
you,
right here.
Yeah.
So have you been having, as she's been kind of wandering along, have you been keeping an eye?
Yeah, I mean, they're not moving quite as well as they normally would in the mornings because they're sort of more interested in you guys than they are actually going out.
Right.
But yeah, you're just casting your eye over, and anybody moving slower than normal. I mean, Tweezer's always slow. She's just bone idle, really. Yeah. You've kind of got to push her out.
Where is Tweezer?
Tweezer's moving on sort of in the middle of the group there,
Right.
but she's normally at the back and she just plods along. Yeah. Jolly as well, if she thinks she can get away with not going out, she'll try and hide, you know. And
so they really do have all their own unique characters,
oh,
don't
yeah,
they?
absolutely.
But they all seem remarkably calm today, the giraffes.
Yeah,
I really can't get over just how close we are. In all my years here, I've never been this close to them.
Yeah, we've just got them now to the point where, you know, they move down here in a nice, calm manner and they know that they're going out.
Even with weather like this?
Yeah, like I say, they're slower on a grey English morning than they are a nice sunny morning, so... But they are good.
Well, the giraffes are on their way into a rather muddy East Africa reserve. Andy, thank you very much for letting us get so close. And of course, we'll keep you updated with the progress of Imogen and Tweezer throughout the series. The new area of the safari park is already home to 3 kinds of antelope. The elands are the largest of them, but there's a small herd of blackbuck as well as the 6 scimitar-horned oryx, which only survive now in captivity. Today, Head of Section Tim Yo is bringing in 3 of the rarest, shyest breed of antelope in the world, the Bongo. They come from the dense rainforests of Central Africa, and they're so hard to see in the wild that zoologists only discovered the species within the last 50 years or so.
I hope that they sort of come off quietly, but you never quite know what's going to happen. All right.
The 3 young bucks have come from another collection in the UK and are part of an international breeding programme. Tim hopes they'll run straight into their new house without trying to escape.
We really need to cut this gap out on this side. Could you take the box forward, but could you pull him very gently downhill that way, just slightly? Animals like this, I mean, sometimes they'll go for gaps. You know, if they see a gap, we don't know. I mean, they may turn and try and run back through it. Absolute disaster if they get out into here because they're not familiar with the place. It's new to them. They panic, they hurt themselves.
The rather splendid name Bongo simply comes from an African word meaning antelope. Tim's been wanting to bring some here for a long time.
They're such beautiful looking antelope, they really are. Their markings are, to me, they're one of the most beautiful antelope there are of the African species of antelope, and they're a great challenge to have here and look after. So it's been very exciting.
In their native forests, bongos are most active at dawn and dusk, rarely venturing out in broad daylight. Their diet includes a wide range of leaves, roots and fruit, but they appear to be quite happy nibbling Wiltshire hay in the security of their horse box.
They feel safe within this travelling box, and they're not, you know, they don't always just come straight out. So I think there's some movement in there. I think they're when we initially dropped the tailgate, they were actually laying down, but I think there might be some movement. But it may be some time before they actually feel happy enough to leave this. And I think from our point of view, it may be, you know, if they don't come out now, we would look at rigging this up so we can go off and leave them and allow them to come out in their own time.
We'll try to get a better look at the bongos later on, if they can summon up the courage to come out.
It's a very tense time in the Tiger House. Shandy is fully sedated now, so Duncan Williams, the safari park vet, can examine her safely. Duncan operated to remove a tumour from her a few months ago, and everyone's been hoping that that was the end of the cancer. Unfortunately, it's come back.
It's massive, massive. What we found here is really bad, actually. The mammary growth is just... it's as big as it was before. It's ulcerated again. And that was just October, so, you know, 3 or 4 months. It's come back as big as it was before, so I think really it's bad news for her. The option of surgery is not on there because, you know,
it feels like it's almost going
this is just
now.
huge
it's
here.
Not just on the surface.
Yeah.
It's exactly what the keepers didn't want to hear.
It's pretty bleak then.
Yeah. But you do surgery again, we're not going to be able to take all this mass out here. We'll be able to sort... Well, I don't know, it's so deep now.
It's got a big one in there.
It's deeper in than it was before. It's much, you know, before it was more superficial, wasn't it? I personally think the kindest thing would be to put her to sleep now rather than bring her around and let her suffer for the next few days, because she is suffering and she's not going to live out much longer now.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been very long, has it?
No. October.
October.
Well, they are very aggressive in cats.
Yeah, 90% are malignant in cats.
Which I suspect is probably right through into a lungs and everything. I'll go get an injection.
It's a devastating blow for Head of Section Brian Kent, too. He's been looking after Shandy for more than 15 years now.
It's the right decision to make, but obviously it's sad, because, you know, looked after her so long. She's a likeable tiger, and, you know, everyone loves her, and she's going to be well missed, I'm afraid. Same thing, you know, working with animals, try not to get too attached, because something like this, but you can't help it in the end. You know, it's better this way. I mean, I don't like it, but I mean, you know, it's better for her.
It's very, very quick. I mean, she'll probably have a few gasps of, you know, reflex breaths. But I think that's probably gone already. Oh, there's no pulse on her tongue anymore.
Safari Park vet Duncan Williams removed a cancerous tumour last year, but now he's had to put her to sleep.
It's very sad. I mean, it's very disappointing, but it's come back as quick as it has, really, because it's only about 3 months ago that we did the major surgery that we had to do on her mammary glands. But cat mammary tumours are very aggressive, and we knew that this would come at some stage, maybe not quite as soon as it has come.
You're going to miss her. She's a character. You know, I've brought loads of people in over the years to look at the tigers, and the first thing that they do, come through that door and go, wow, a white tiger. Unfortunately, they ain't going to be able to do that for a while.
The big cat keepers have already experienced one tragedy today. If Kadu doesn't come round from her general anaesthetic, this could turn out to be a very dark day indeed for the Tiger House. Throughout the rest of the safari park, of course, life goes on as normal, and nowhere more so than down in Pet's Corner, where Head of Section Darren Beasley always has something interesting to show me. I'm up at Pet's Corner in the Iguana House with Head of Section Darren Beasley, and, well, we've just been having a little stroke with Iggy here, and Darren, she's looking dreadful. What have you been doing to her? She's all flaky.
It's actually quite natural. All animals, including human beings, will actually shed their skin, and the fresh skin comes through, and all she's doing is unlike a snake that would shed in one long big tube, for instance, iguanas do it in lots of little bits, and we're just helping her just peel a little bit off here
So
and there.
do you think it's a bit itchy?
Yeah, it must be fairly, quite a discomfort, I would have thought. But it's something that happens all year round. Maybe on the seasons might get heavier at certain times of year. Oh, she's off now. But what we do, is they rub it off on the braque and all the other, bits of furniture and that in here.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the new stuff is underneath, so it just needs teasing off here. You can do that with it.
It's not going to hurt her?
No. It just tease it off just nice and gently.
Oh, yeah, and you can see that lovely, fresh, much brighter, cleaner skin underneath. Do you need to do anything special, sort of diet-wise, while this is going on? Because they're terribly susceptible to bad diet and things like that, aren't they?
If you've got your diet right and your husbandry right, the temperature right, this will happen as of course. But it mustn't be mistaken for things like the funguses and other things they can get. If you're in doubt, whip them straight down the vet.
Straight down the vet.
The vet will tell you whether this was natural or not, but this is natural.
Oh, good. Well, so she's going to be all right.
She's
and
fine.
If we carry on scratching her, maybe she'll be returned to her former glory. Darren, thank you very much. And here is what's coming up on the rest of today's programme.
Orphaned herself as a baby, will this young wallaby make a good mother?
That's what I was a bit worried about, if she would know what to do.
There are even tinier babies on the way, down in the butterfly house. What, those little white spots?
Yeah.
Those are butterfly eggs?
And amongst the secret treasures of the Great House, the letter that spelled death to a queen. So this document led to her execution, in theory?
She'd already been found guilty.
Back in the Tiger House, everyone's still coming to terms with the death of Shandy. Head of section Brian Kent is finding it hard to accept that she's gone.
Bit numb, to be honest. Don't know how to put it in words. Very hard. Was talking yesterday, me and Bob. You know, this may happen. We weren't really looking forward to the day. And, of course, you know, it had to be done. It was better for her. You know, she's obviously in a lot of pain. But, you know, as for myself, yeah, very upset. You know, just got to try and get over it.
The hardest thing will be tomorrow morning when we walk in here and she won't be here. You know, for the past God knows how many years we've been walking in, she's been up to the cage to say hello, and it's going to be one of these things that we're going to have to get used to, I'm afraid.
But at last, there's some good news. To the relief of vet Duncan Williams, the other tigress, Kadu, has finally woken up.
Just by reducing that anaesthetic, which reduced it quite markedly as well, it's made quite a difference. And we kept her sort of from getting too deep, and she's come around lovely, which is just like she used to do, you know, when she was a bit younger. This has been amazing. It's been, all sense and purposes, a success. You know, on previous occasions, she hasn't reacted very well to anaesthetics. This time, it's like a different tiger. But giving her a smaller dose, I think, is definitely the way to go now. You know, she's all right. She's coming around all right. Hopefully, within the next 24 hours, we'll be able to let her out, and she'll be able to run around and do what she normally does.
One thing is certain. The keepers will be giving Kadu the very best care possible as she recuperates.
Last year, a very young Joey was rescued from her dead mother's pouch in Wallaby Wood and had to be raised by hand. Bev Allen from Pet's Corner took on the role of playing mother to the tiny orphan.
It's just sort of got used to taking the bottle now, so as you can see, she's drinking quite well. It's just like a human baby, because you've got to get up, you've got to feed it. She gets too dirty, we've got to give her a quick wash and that, to make sure she's clean. It does take a lot of time, but it's worth it to see the young wallabies sort of grow and develop. It's quite nice to see that.
Over the next few months, baby Kimberly formed a strong emotional bond with Bev, who carried her everywhere in an improvised pouch and was effectively the little Joey's surrogate mother.
I was, and she was very tiny. She was only 4 months when I was looking after her, but now she is fully grown.
Here she is.
And
look at the little face.
She's got a little Joey of her own now, so she's
You didn't realise that means that you've become a granny.
Yeah, I'm grandma.
Now, Bev Evans over here is feeding her. Hi, Bev. Are we OK coming a bit closer, do you think? So she's still quite friendly, is she?
She is slightly. I mean, she's a bit more nervous. Now she's had the little Joey, she gets a little bit nervous, a lot of people around her. She's happy with us sort of staying at this distance. You know, and she loves her bread, as you can see. She likes her treats.
This must be so exciting for you to see a little Joey in her pouch like this. Look at her, she's hopping off already. But it must be very exciting for you, is it?
Oh, it is. I've been coming up here quite often, annoying Bev, keeping on to say, oh, have you seen little Joey? So I am really pleased. I mean, Bev let me know straight away when...
And how long ago did you discover the Joey?
It's about a couple of weeks ago, in fact, because it's only just started poking its head in and out. It's got fur coming as well. So yeah, it's quite exciting.
And I have to ask, how does it get into the pouch?
It's quite a difficult procedure, to be perfectly honest. It's born and then it has to make its way up outside along the fur and then up into the pouch, which could take about 3 minutes. Right. And at that time, it's only a very small pink hairless little blind little Joey, and you know, makes its way up. It's a bit of a miracle, really, all the way up into the pouch. To stay there for about 9 months, really.
How amazing! And then obviously it will pop out one day, Willis, and join the rest of the group. Do you think we can see if we can get any closer? Shall we see if we'll scare her away? So obviously this is great news that an orphaned wallaby has actually become a mum herself, and she obviously has all the instincts, does she?
Yeah, that's what I was a bit worried about, if she would know what to do, and I'm really pleased that she's actually mixed in with the group.
Yeah.
She's not really that friendly compared to what she used to be, as you can see. Yeah. But that's good, because we didn't want her to be really friendly towards the public. We want her to be able to mix in with the mob, and, you know, she's got a boyfriend called Mick.
I was going to ask who the dad was.
But, yeah, I'm really pleased. She's got a lot bigger now, and the little Joey seems to be doing really well. She seems to be a really good mum, so she must have got that from me, since I got up every 2 hours to feed her. But, I mean, it was hard work, but just look at how she is now here. It's all worth it. It's all worth all that hard work that I've done, and, you know, back in with the group, it's brilliant. And she's been well looked after by Bev and everybody up here now.
Thank you, Bev.
Brilliant. Well, Bev Allen, Bev Evans, congratulations, I think, is the word. And, of course, we'll keep you posted on Kimberly's progress and, of course, her Joey throughout the series.
Not everything at Longleat has fur, claws or feathers. These are perhaps some of the prettiest and smallest residents, and they have a new keeper who I'm going to meet for the first time. She's called Sophie Dunn. Well, I think this butterfly rather likes me. She's called Sophie Dunn. She's been here for just 6 weeks, I think, haven't you, Sophie?
Yes, I have, yes.
Look at this.
Blue morpher there.
Isn't it beautiful?
Gorgeous.
So, were you a bit of a butterfly fan before you started working here?
Yes, definitely. Always been interested in butterflies. Just always loved them and the colours and everything.
What is it particularly about them that fascinates you?
Well, from being from a design background, I think they're an inspiration really, as is a lot of nature, you know, with the bright colours and the way that their cycle that they have and everything. So I find it really intriguing.
Now, the cycle is extraordinary, isn't it? Does that whole thing happen here in the butterfly house?
Yes.
Do you see the whole process?
Yeah, I have some examples if you'd like to start with the eggs up here. I've got some
those
eggs
little white
there.
spots?
Yeah.
Those are butterfly eggs?
Mm-hmm. If you put those down. Those eggs of the owl butterfly.
That is extraordinary that something as big as a butterfly can come from a tiny... It's like a pinhead.
It is, it's tiny. I've got some caterpillars to show you if you'd like to come over this way.
So that's the next stage. They hatch out of the eggs.
Which is here, if I point this towards you. This is the swallowtail caterpillar there.
Right.
Because you can see it's got this fork of the swallowtail there.
And the caterpillars munch and munch and munch. That's basically their job, is it?
If the butterfly will only lay eggs on the leaves where it's the food supply for the babies, for the eggs to be born. So as soon as the caterpillars come out, they will munch away because they have the food source there for them.
It's right there. Gosh, that's clever.
It is clever, providing for their babies.
Yeah.
And then they go on to the pupa stage,
right,
which we have also here in the garden. This is the swallowtail pupa here, so on the top row.
This one here?
Mm-hmm.
Can I pick that up? Is that going to be all right?
If you just push it to the side to release the glue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that little caterpillar that we've just seen would turn into a pupa like that.
And it's got the fork again there, you can see.
Oh, yeah. And what about these ones? These just look like buds.
This is the actual pupa of the one that you just had on your hand there,
that beautiful blue one.
Mm-hmm. And this one is the tree nymph, which is a beautiful white and black one, which I think these look like jewellery. They're so shiny and beautiful.
Absolutely stunning. Now, I have to ask, why have you got them glued to a stick?
Well, obviously we had to collect them from the garden and put them onto a stick and put them into a safe environment for them to emerge.
Right.
As we don't want them all in the garden on show as such, so we can hide them more and control the environment for them.
So where do they go? Show me.
They go in the case. Do you want to carry that down?
Okay. Yeah.
Very careful. Like that, yeah.
So it doesn't damage them to glue them then?
No, they wiggle a bit as you glue them up, but that just shows that, you know, the temperature and things of your hands and things as you're putting them up.
Right.
But literally, as soon as they're in the case, they're fine. They just go, you know, straight into the same natural environment as they would have anyway.
Oh,
so
look at this one.
That's the owl.
So that's the one that laid those tiny eggs that we saw?
Because this is its food plant, the banana, so...
Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, you must look after probably more animals than anyone else at Longleat, don't you?
Yes, definitely.
Do you know how many you've got in here?
Well, there are about 300 flying around at the moment. The species can differ, really, for all different types of species. There's probably about 20 different types of species in here at the moment, including all sorts of swallowtails, all different types of them. So
oh, lovely.
Only a few, really, in the case.
So they'll sit in here for roughly how long?
About 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Roughly, because we have them every 2 weeks. We put them in.
Yeah.
And then this is the tree nymph I was talking about earlier. This one's just about to come out because it's gone dark there.
You can
and the
just
wings
see
are
the
showing.
wings. Oh, that must be a fabulous moment, isn't it?
It is. I love coming every morning to the case and opening it up and they're all flying out. It's like the best part of the day, definitely. So
oh,
I really
fantastic.
enjoy that.
Well, clearly you're the right person for the job because I can see how enthusiastic you are.
I am.
And would you mind just giving me a little tip-off next time anything's going to
I'll let
emerge?
you know,
Because I'd love to see it. Sophie, thank you very, very much
Thank you.
indeed. It's amazing.
Up in the new area, the latest arrivals, 3 young male Bongo Antelopes, have finally left their trailer and are now settling into their house. For keeper Tim Yo, the Bongos present a particular challenge. Their first instinct, as notoriously shy animals, is to hide away whenever possible.
What we're going to do now is to actually let them out into the yard. So they can come out into a small yard here that we've put a bit of a curtain around the yard just so that they feel a little bit more safe. Mark, can you just, when they come out, when you see the first bongo, can you just talk to them or just make a noise, just let them know that you're there, please?
Rarely active in daylight, bongos do not have very good eyesight, but they have exceptionally acute hearing, so they rely heavily on that to warn them of any approaching danger. Unfortunately for bongos, leopards, hyenas, and even human hunters like to eat them. Their numbers have also been cut dramatically in the wild by the loss of their natural habitat through deforestation, and they're now an endangered species.
There are very few wild bongo. If you went to Africa and to try and view these in the wild, I believe you may go for quite a period of time not seeing one, and you indeed may never see one in the wild. They're extremely shy and venturing out probably in the very early hours of the morning and the very late afternoon.
Bongos are the largest forest antelope. These 3 are only 18 months old. When they're fully grown, they'll reach 1.3 metres at the shoulder, and their horns will be over twice as long, at about 65 centimetres.
They're such pretty animals, I keep saying it. They've come out on the yard here, and they're so chilled out about it all, and it really is the best we could have wished for, really.
Now that the bongos are at home in the yard, Tim's next challenge will be to persuade them to go out into the wood, and hope they don't hide so well that we never see them again.
Tim Yo is a very busy man. As well as all the antelopes, he also looks after a wide assortment of other animals, including white rhinos, Ankoli cattle, water buffalo, and Bactrian camels, not to mention 3 herds of deer. Most of the time they graze placidly, but right now the deer park looks like a battlefield. Is this a result of a fight? What's been going on?
Katie, it's not. It's literally, it's the time of year when, I'll just negotiate this
well done.
ditch here.
Yeah.
It's the time of year when the stags annually cast, what we call cast, the antlers drop off.
So they literally just fall off?
That's right, yes.
But that seems insane, because I just thought, I mean, it's spring now. I'd have thought this would be the time where you'd want the biggest, most magnificent antlers you can possibly have and do a lot of serious flirting, but you're saying that happens later?
I mean, different species, there are many different species of deer, and some are getting ready for their breeding season at this time of year, but some, like these, the red deer and the fallow deer that we have in the park, their breeding time is, the peak of it is in the autumn.
Right.
So theirs is over.
So they're shedding the... I mean, don't they need them for, I don't know, scratching themselves? Or, I mean, what do they use antlers for?
Right, well, they certainly do come in handy for that sort of thing, for an irritating scratch or itch, but predominantly these are fighting tools. I mean, weapons, predominantly. I mean, a stag is looking to, in the breeding season, to collect as many hinds, which are the female deer. Yeah. And he needs to defend, you know, and keep those hinds.
Right,
and he
so
needs to be able to fight off.
Males.
Exactly.
And is it true to say that the kind of bigger the antler, the more dominant the stag, or is that not necessarily true?
I think it's fair to say in many cases that is how things work. But as with humans, you get some deer that are much more aggressive than others, and they will, you know, they will really fight hard and possibly just it's a confidence thing as well. You know, if they're extremely confident about themselves and aggressive to fight, then they'll put off these animals that may have larger antlers.
And presumably this is quite a sort of dangerous time of year for stags if they haven't got antlers.
The shedding or casting starts with the older animals. And
so this could be a time of year when the dominance actually changes, when a younger stag who still has his antlers could actually take advantage.
Exactly. It's an extremely dangerous time for an adult dominant, you know, master stag, because his antlers drop off. He immediately has to seek you know, a quiet corner somewhere, you know, hundreds of metres away from the others, just keeping his head down, because it's a very dangerous time for him.
It's absolutely fascinating, Tim. Thank you very, very much. I'm just really looking forward to coming back. About August, you say, is when they're back in full antler again.
That's right, Kate.
Well, we'll look forward to that, Tim. Thank you very much. It's absolutely fascinating. They are beautiful animals.
The great house at Longleat has stood here for over 450 years. 14 generations of the Thin family have filled it with superb paintings and other works of art. But it also houses some priceless historical documents. I'm up in the climate-controlled strong room at Longleat House with house curator Kate Harris, and we're lucky enough to get a sneak preview of some rather important documents before they go off on loan. So, Kate, what do we have here and where is it going?
We've got our most famous piece of paper. It's the Titus Andronicus drawing, which is the only surviving contemporary drawing of a Shakespeare play. Titus Andronicus is Shakespeare's first tragedy. It was performed first in 1594, and the drawing is by a man called Henry Peacham. What we've got here is Tamara, the Queen of the Goths, with her two sons, and Titus Andronicus himself, and Aaron the Moor. And there's a quotation from the play where Tamara is pleading for the lives of her sons. Titus has just been victorious in battle and has brought them back in triumph.
And this dates from that period, does it?
Yes, it does, indeed.
From 1595.
Its endorsement is 1595, and the date given by Peacham himself is 1594, which is actually exactly the date when the play was first performed.
This is the only existing drawing, is it?
It's the only existing drawing of a Shakespeare play. You'll see that there's a mixture in the costume where they look both Elizabethan with allusions to Roman togas and Roman armour.
And where is it going?
This is going to the National Portrait Gallery. There's a very important exhibition going to be put on for their 150th anniversary celebration, and it's called Searching for Shakespeare, and they'll be showing their Chandos portrait of Shakespeare, which is one of their earliest acquisitions. But they're collecting together a whole sequence of other related material, so they'll have first folios and they'll have the Titus Andronicus drawing. It's going to be shown with the published 1623 first folio.
So this actually originally comes from this...
Yes, originally it's part of this collection. It's been removed from the first volume of our Portland papers, which is very broadly speaking equivalent to a modern autograph collection.
Okay.
It's formed...
literally full of signatures.
Well, letters, complete letters. It was formed in the very early 18th century by the first and second Earls of Oxford, that's Edward and Robert Harley. And it includes letters from Henry VIII.
Really?
Material from Elizabeth I, letters from Walter Raleigh. Here,
original letters in their own hand?
Yes. And we've got here an attested copy of the confession of Queen Catherine Howard just before she's executed for adultery.
So that was Henry VIII, was it?
Yes, one of his wives, yes. And it's signed by the members of the Privy Council to attest its authenticity as a confession.
Oh, so this document led to her execution, in theory?
She'd already been found guilty. Oh, here we've got a warrant from Elizabeth I banning hunting.
Banning hunting?
Banning hunting in her park at Eltham, but not banning it for very long. She just wanted to ban it for 2 years so that the hunting would actually be better next time.
Really, so a rather selfish act, perhaps. And this is her signature, is it?
Yes, this isn't her hand, but it's signed by her and it's sealed here as well.
Absolutely amazing. Kate, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I think we could spend hours going through all of these.
Well, I think of all reptiles, these are the most spectacular. And of course, I'm not talking about Darren Beasley, head of section in Pets Corner, but this amazing chameleon. He is magnificent, Darren. Will you go onto my arm, do you think? Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
He's got fairly sharp claws, but...
OK, I've got a big, thick coat on, so he'll be all right. Now, tell me a little bit about him, because he is just spectacular. He looks like he's been sort of spray-painted.
We call them Yemeni Chameleons.
Right.
Region they come from in
they come from the Yemen, do they?
And like all chameleons, they have these beautiful, beautiful markings, this coloration here. And when they're very excited, when they're hungry or they're displaying, they get this vivid bars and greens of yellow and browns. And of course, people always say they blend to their background, which they do to a certain degree, obviously, because there's lots of different shades of green. But if you popped him in purple box, he probably wouldn't go purple.
He wouldn't go purple, so that's a bit of a fallacy.
Yeah,
and do you know what... Ooh, you're quite speedy, aren't you?
Chameleon stick here.
Do you know what it is that actually makes that colour change? Is it something in the skin? Is it the blood?
Yeah, it is the blood in the skin, yeah. And it's just the pigments. And it's if you see him under different lights, he actually does come... He looks the blues and the purples, but in fact, really, that's just the reflections.
It's just the reflections of the light. And what about this extraordinary crest on the top of his head?
Isn't that amazing? It's there for several reasons. We think it's there mainly for display.
Right.
But also, we've been obviously doing our own little bit of research on this.
Yeah.
And from what we see and what people tell us, they've got this very strange vision. See these little coned eyes here?
Yes, they're extraordinary. They can move in every single direction by the looks of things.
They can't actually see still water. So to drink, they shoot their tongue out and they get drops of dew and stuff on the leaves. But also, this crest here acts as like a rain funnel, almost. The rain hits it and it actually comes down and runs into the corner of their mouth. So it's a rain catcher, which is absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely brilliant. And just getting this amazingly close-up view of him, one thing that very typical of chameleons are these very strange sort of two-pronged feet that they have.
Looks like he's got mittens on, doesn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, again, is that an adaptation because they're good climbers?
They are fantastic climbers. I mean, we've seen this guy here literally stand on one leg, suspended in mid-air just by one foot, and he's got such a strong grip, these mitten-like feet. They've got tiny little claws as well, these mitten-like feet. He's not going to let go. And also they have, if I turn him around, he's got the prehensile tail.
Just like a monkey?
Just like a monkey, and he uses that. There we are, let's get him on, he's more comfortable in there. And he actually will hang on, and that's, again, to help him to hold on if he's climbing a tree. Excellent climbers. There you are, that's a fifth leg, if you like, or a fifth hand.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Should we put him back in? Because I feel like he's getting a little bit restless. And he also has a very handsome friend in here.
Yeah, this is... The one you've got is... Let's get him on his stick and I'll climb up. The one you've got is called Aussie.
Yes.
There he goes. The one up there in full colour is called Claude.
Right.
And normally these can be quite aggressive to each other, these male chameleons.
Yeah.
So what we tend to do is, usually as a species, you keep them on their own, but we've done a bit of an experiment here to see if we can keep them together, and they get on really well. There's no fighting, no problems, and let's put him on there, and away he goes.
So would they normally be quite territorial? They'd say, oh, we've got my area, and that's what I want to stick with.
Very much indeed, yeah, and they will fight. They'll fight over area. They'll fight over females. And we hadn't had that problem. There's no females in there, and plenty of space to keep out of the way.
Lots of space, lots of heat, presumably important for them.
Lots of ultraviolet light as well, just like most of the other reptiles, and lots of bugs, lots of, you know,
lots of wiggly things
wiggly things for them to eat.
Well, I was going to say it's been fantastic to see them, not them, but him. He's absolutely magnificent, Darren. Thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you.
A day has passed now since the sad death of Shandy, the white Bengal tigress who had to be put to sleep after developing cancer. In welcome contrast, Kadu survived a general anaesthetic to treat her ingrown claws, and keepers Brian Kent and Bob Trollope are keen to see how she is after a good night's sleep.
She's looking very well, you know, it's back to normal as such. As you can see, she's up for a fuss. She must probably come over for a cuddle in a minute. Yeah, but, you know, just walking around there, that's ideal.
It was hard first thing this morning, opening the door. We both said the same thing, looking in and thinking, you know, where has she gone? You know, it's an open, big space. And it's very, you know, still very hard to adjust to it. I think it's going to take time. But, you know, see how it goes. Day to day, really.
Kadu may be wary of the keepers after being darted yesterday, so Bob's giving her a snack.
Well, this is just a little treat I'm going to try her with, just to see if she's going to come up to us. She's got to get that trust back into us, because we've obviously darted her. She does remember little things like that, so it's just a bit of a tidbit to see if she's going to come up. Come on, dudes. What's in this? Come on, darling. Oh, come on. Good girl. Come on in. Come on. I'll give it a sonar. Let's see sonar. Come on then, mate. Do you want some of that? Good boy. Oh, good boy. Good, yeah. We're going to see if your girlfriend wants some, shall we? Good. Come on, darling. Good girl, see? Good girl. Yeah. Good girl. You want some? Oh, you like that, don't you? Hey, you like that?
As she's feeding now, that's a good thing. She's starting to feel a bit more confident coming back towards us, so, you know, that should be all right now.
That's all it is to build up her trust again. Obviously, we don't like inflicting pain on the animals, and, you know, darting them does give them a little bit of pain for a short amount of time. And just for her to get our trust back again, yeah, you know, it does us all right. And you benefit as well, don't you? You get little tidbits.
Since Kadu seems to be as right as rain, they've decided to let her out with sonar.
She's looking surprisingly good, you know. You'd expect a slight limp anyway because she's arthritic, but she looks fine.
In the wild, tigers are solitary creatures, but Shandy, Sonar and Kadu lived here together for 16 years.
Now as they keep looking back, looking for Shandy, I suppose.
They're anticipating her to come out, but unfortunately that's not going to happen.
For tigers and keepers alike, the passing of the stunning white tigress is going to leave a big gap.
Shandy, as a tiger, was quite an individual. From the moment we first had her, she was always different than the other tigers, not just to the fact that she was white, her behaviour. I always jokingly said that she was our blue-eyed blonde, because she's a little bit dopey at times. But, you know, she was a smashing animal.
Every so often you do get ones that come along that you get attached to. Like Bob said, you know, nice character to them. You don't get that a lot. You don't get that many chances with it. And when you do, you've got to make the most of it, and hard, really.
Yeah, the routine has changed totally altogether. You know, you come in here, just preparing the medicine for her, or, you know, going along the line with the chunks of meat. You know, there's a tiger missing. It's one of those things that as soon as you come into this section, you were drawn to it because obviously, being a white tiger, you expect to see tigers, but you expect to see tigers like Kadu, and all of a sudden this big white thing looms over. You know, it is a sight to be seen.
And the other thing with Shandy is that waiting for the last car at night, she used to get so fed up. Have you ever noticed her? Yeah. She'd be wandering around the house, basically looked like stamping her feet in a way. Sounds stupid. And she used to look at that car, wander around up by it like, oh, you see me, no, go. And then she'd wander back to the house, you know, wanting to go in. But at the end of the day, she had as far as I can see, a lovely life. You know, a lovely space to go out into, no hassles, did she?
Right.
So I think she had a great life.
Well, it's the end of another busy day here at Longleat, and Kate and I are here on the back of a pickup helping round up some of the animals.
Yeah, the giraffes, it's their turn to go into their house for the night, and it's an incredible feeling, actually, isn't it? Driving very slowly behind a sort of, really like a giraffe traffic jam.
It's extraordinary, and I like the way that Tweezer is bringing up the rear there, very slow, ambling in.
Very slowly, very majestically, just making sure all the rest of the females are going in the right direction. Well, that's all we've got time for today, but here's what's coming up on the next Animal Park.
Why the head of Pet's Corner is taking a crash course in lion keeping.
I put my foot down at lending a hand to feed ostriches.
Give a little bit of cabbage in there.
I'm not sure I dare do that.
And I get a feel for life on the farm with the safari park vet.
Would you like to have a go, or?
I don't want to say, can I?
That's all in the next Animal Park.